here we are trying to recover from a global pandemic that has killed more than 700,000 Americans, that shut down thousands of small businesses and put millions out of work. We don't have time to be wasting on these phony, trumped-up culture.
We'll convert your children. Happens bit by bit, quietly and subtly, and you will barely notice it. We're coming for them. We're coming for your children.
Outrage that right-wing media peddles to juice their ratings. And the fact that he's willing to go along with it, instead of talking about serious problems that actually affect serious people, that's a shame. That's not what this election's about.
We are in a battle for the soul of this nation.
That's not what you need, Virginia. Instead of forcing our communities to cut back at a time when we're just starting to recover, we should be doing more to support people who are educating our kids and keeping our neighborhoods safe. Instead of spreading misinformation and disinformation about the last election, we should be trying to strengthen our democracy and make it easier for more people to vote in future elections. Instead of stoking anger aimed at school boards and administrators who are just trying to keep our kids safe, who are just doing their job.
Pictures were originally posted on the Hazard High School Athletics Facebook page but have since been removed. We have blurred the faces of students to protect their privacy. We are told it was part of homecoming week celebrations. Tuesday was costume day and there was a man pageant in the gym. These are some of the images receiving the most criticism. They appear to show scantily clad students giving lap dances to faculty and staff. Others showed female students dressed in Hooters costumes, carrying mugs that looked like there was beer in them.
No.
Stoking anger to the point where some of them are actually getting death threats? We should be making it easier for teachers and schools to give our kids the world-class education they deserve and to do so safely while they're in the classroom.
A boy dressed as a girl is accused of raping an actual girl in the bathroom of a school in Loudoun County, Virginia. That boy apparently has just been found guilty by a judge. The father of the girl who says she was raped is called Scott Smith, and he said he plans to file a lawsuit against the school system over this, and that can't come too soon. At a recent school board meeting, the superintendent of Loudoun County Schools, a guy called Scott Ziegler, said, quote, "We don't have any records of assaults occurring in our restrooms because, of course, they couldn't be bothered to keep track." What does that have to do with the equity agenda? Nothing. What do we care about our students? Nothing. So students walked out of school today in Loudoun County to protest. Lou Rosiak is with the Daily Wire. He broke this story and deserves the credit for it. He joins us tonight with an update. Luke, thanks so much for coming on. Everything about this story is stomach-turning. Tell us where we are tonight, please.
Well, yesterday the kid was convicted in court of both assaults. The first one that happened in a bathroom where he was convicted of rape. And then the second one where the school didn't tell anyone it had happened, transferred him to a different school, and he was arrested in October 6th. So, you know, I broke that story on your show a couple weeks ago and in the Daily Wire, and most of the media largely ignored it because they said it was unsubstantiated. 2 days ago, Barack Obama alluded to it while campaigning with Terry McAuliffe, calling it it phony right-wing outrage. Yesterday, everything was substantiated in court, including a bizarre detail that the fact that this kid was wearing a skirt is actually central to his defense. He claims that his wristwatch got caught on the skirt he was wearing while he was hanging out in the girls' bathroom, and that caused inadvertent sexual contact to occur.
So Barack Obama, who really is a heartless monster, and I'm glad that's clear to everyone now, described the rape of a child as phony right-wing outrage?
This is what, he's talking about, parents being up in arms in Virginia and basically claiming it's all culture war stuff. First of all, I never really cared about the fact that this is transgender. The bigger issue here is that school districts do not have the same priorities as parents. And that's really right. What Terry McAuliffe hit the nail on the head with, saying, he doesn't think parents should be telling schools what to teach. The head of the teachers union said something similar this week. So the issue is, what's the appropriate role for parents in schools? And the Democrats seem to think they don't have one. These are our kids. We're going to raise them in these government schools. The problem is the main case study that they had for this Parents Are Bad movement, it turned out to be a total hoax. I mean, this guy who was arrested, and he looks like a blue-collar guy. He's angry at school board meeting. They thought he was a bigot. Maybe he was opposed to masks. The clip that the media had the whole time of him, you can hear his wife screaming at the end as her husband is hauled away in handcuffs. My daughter was raped in school, and this is what happened. So no one asked this guy why he was mad. We also found out this week that the White House worked with the National School Boards Association to write the letter that called this guy and other parents domestic terrorists, which the DOJ then used to justify FBI involvement.
Oh, hell no!
Yeah, so your daughter gets raped in a school bathroom, the school doesn't care or even keep track of the rape, and then you get denounced by the president and the DOJ as a domestic terrorist for complaining about it. It really does tell you everything, and we wouldn't know this without your reporting. Luke Rosiak, thank you.
So we're at a turning point right now, both here in America and around the world. Because there's a mood out there. We see it, right? There's a politics of meanness and division and conflict, of tribalism and cynicism.
Judiciary Committee, the gentleman from Ohio, Mr. Jordan, for his opening statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The chairman just said the Trump DOJ was political and went after their opponents. Are you kidding me? 3 weeks ago, the National School Board Association writes President Biden asking him to involve the FBI in local school board matters. 5 days later, the Attorney General of the United States does just that, does exactly what a political organization asked to be done. 5 days. We've sent, Republicans on this committee have sent the Attorney General 13 letters in the last 6 months. It takes weeks and months to get a response. 8 of the letters, we've got nothing. They just gave us the finger, said, we're not going to get back to you. And all our letters were actually sent to the Attorney General. Here's a letter sent to someone else asking for a specific thing to be done, and in 5 days, the Attorney General does it. Here's what the October 4th memo said. Quote, I'm directing the FBI to convene meetings with local leaders. These meetings will open dedicated lines of communication for threat reporting. Dedicated lines of communication for threat reporting. A snitch line on parents. Started 5 days after a left-wing political organization asked for it. That's not political. I don't know what is. Where's the dedicated lines of communication with local leaders regarding our southern border? Something that, frankly, is a federal matter. Where's the dedicated lines of communication on violent crime in our cities? Violent crime that has went up in every major urban area where Democrats have defunded the police. Nope, can't do that. Can't do that. The Biden Justice Department is going to go after parents who object to some racist, hate America curriculum. Nope, can't focus on the southern border where 1.7 million illegal encounters have happened this year alone. A record number. MS-13 can just waltz right across the border, but the Department of Justice, they're going to open up a snitch line on parents. Think about this. The same FBI that Mr. Garland is directing to open dedicated lines of communication for reporting on parents just a few years ago spied on 4 American citizens associated with President Trump's campaign. Clinton campaign hired Perkins Coie, who hired Fusion GPS, who hired Christopher Steele, who put a bunch of garbage together, gave it to the FBI. They used that as the basis to open up an investigation into a presidential campaign. Oh, and then there was Mr. Zussman. Mr. Zussman, who worked at Perkins Coie, the firm hired by the Clinton campaign. He cut out all the middlemen. He just said, I'm just going to go directly to the FBI, and not just anyone at the FBI. Who'd he go to? Jim Baker, the chief counsel at the FBI, handed him a bunch of false information, told him false information, and of course, he's been indicted by the special counsel. A few weeks ago, the IG at the Department of Justice released a report that found that the FBI made over 200 errors, omissions, and lies in just 29 randomly selected FISA applications. But don't worry, the Attorney General of the United States just put them in charge of a dedicated line of communication to report on parents who attend school board meetings. Mr. Chairman, Americans are afraid. For the first time during my years in public office, first time, I talked to the good folks I get the privilege of representing in the 4th District of Ohio, folks all around the country. They tell me for the first time they fear their government. And frankly, I think it's obvious why. Every single liberty we enjoy under the First Amendment has been assaulted over the last year. Stop and think about it. Americans were told you couldn't go to church, couldn't go to work, couldn't go to school. Small business owners were told you're not an essential business, close your doors, causing many of them to go bankrupt. We were given curfews, stay-at-home orders. Last fall in Ohio, you had to be in your home at 10. In Pennsylvania, when you were in your home, you had to wear a mask. In Vermont, when you were in your home, you didn't have to wear a mask because you weren't allowed to have friends and family over. And of course, there's always a double standard with these folks. Folks who make the rules never seem to follow them.
Then he got a lot of attention for coughing into his hand and then using that hand to shake hands with the public, all while maskless.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Well, this move comes just days after one of his own cabinet members tested positive for COVID.
And now the Biden administration says get a vaccine or lose your job. Even if you've had COVID and have natural immunity, get a vaccine or you will lose your job. Oh, I almost forgot. The Biden administration also wants another dedicated line of communication for reporting. They want a second snitch line. They want banks to report on every single transaction over $600 for every single American to the IRS.
No, man. Shit, no, man. I believe you get your ass kicked saying something like that, man.
The IRS, that agency with its stellar record of customer service, the IRS, you know, the same IRS that targeted conservatives the last time Joe Biden was in the executive branch. Jefferson said once, tyranny is when the people fear the government. We're there. Sadly, we are there. But I don't think the good people of this great country are going to cower and hide. I think your memo, Mr. Attorney General, was the last straw. I think it was the catalyst for a great awakening that is just getting started. Pilots at Southwest Airlines, the Chicago Police Union, parents at school board meetings, Americans are pushing back because Americans value freedom. A few weeks ago, Terry McAuliffe said this: I don't think parents should be telling schools what to teach. When government tells parents we're smarter than you, Americans aren't going to tolerate it. When the Attorney General of the United States sets up a snitch line on parents, Americans aren't going to tolerate it. I think they're going to stand up to this accelerated march to communism that we now see. America's going to fight the good fight. They're going to finish the course. They're going to keep the faith because Americans value freedom.
And that's one path. But the good news is there's another path where we pull together and we solve big problems and we rebuild our society in a way that gives more and more people a better life. And that's the choice we face.